Ready to redefine your talent strategy? Let's make Redefine the word of the year for your success. Introducing RAS, Recruitment as a Service. Outsource your talent strategy with the O'Connor Group. Our four-tiered approach is crafted to align with your business, whether you're launching a startup or leading a thriving corporation. Our cost-effective solutions are designed to elevate your business and enhance your people strategy, ensuring scalability and strategic growth. Redefine your recruitment strategy with RAS.
And welcome everybody to Shadow Her Podcast. I am Marcia O'Connor, CEO and founder of not only Shadow Her, but also the O'Connor Group. So we are here today with a dear friend of mine, another very, very successful entrepreneur, and a dear friend of mine, Elyse Lupin. Elyse basically is the CEO and founder of Elysium Marketing Group. Welcome, Elyse, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, pleasure is mine. It's just like so much fun. It feels like, just like sitting on a little beach and having like, our little coolers next to us and just having a conversation and talk about like, hey, what's going on? How's the things happening? Shadow Her is all about really female entrepreneurs and helping other female entrepreneurs with their operations of their business. It's a 6-month course. It's a nonprofit. If you're interested in being involved with it, just please reach out to shadowher.org to learn more about it. But on this Shadow Her podcast, we actually have great entrepreneurs who've been there, done that, and, have surpassed certain revenue goals. Our families and their moms and their daughters, their caretakers and all too. And Elyse is no other, she's dynamic. She's exciting. She's everything you want to have an entrepreneur and a dynamic mom. So Elyse, I wanted to say welcome to the show, but also, why did you become an entrepreneur?
What a good question, Marcia. So I had a couple things going on in my life. I had my son about 9 months before I started Elysium, and I wasn't fulfilled in the job that I was in. And I kept thinking, I'm spending all this time away from my newborn, and I'm really not happy with where I'm at right now. So I met with this amazing mentor. Her name's Marcia O'Connor.
That's me. Wait a minute.
Yeah. And you really kind of gave me the extra push I needed. I didn't even realize I wanted to be an entrepreneur until we were sitting down and discussing what options were. And I kind of blurted out, like, I think I just want to start my own thing. And you said, well, then do it. And I stopped for a second and I thought, well, I can't. I have a mortgage. I have a baby. How am I going to do this? So you were like, just kind of think about it. You planted the seed. I went back to my job I really didn't like. And I just kept thinking about it. What if I really did this? Mm-hmm. And it feels crazy, but it also felt right.
Yep.
So I came back to you and said, I think I'm going to do it. And 9 years later, here we are.
Ta-da. Think about that. 9 years later. So how many employees do you have now?
So I have 10 full-time employees, and I have a whole bunch of contractors and interns that work with us as well.
10 full-time employees. You know how hard it is to even hire your first person? So let's go back to that first person you hired, and you hired full-time. What was going through your mind?
Can I afford this?
Right. Exactly. Yep. What else?
At every hire, I sort of go through that though. I think as you grow as a company, you realize, unless you want to be a solopreneur, but I knew I didn't want to be, you kind of test people out. And so I was super lucky because it was about 8.5 years ago and I had an intern and she was phenomenal, and she's still with me. She's still phenomenal. And so it was kind of cool because she was young and really smart. So I could kind of grow her and teach her, how to do things in certain ways. And, it's funny. She was just in my office earlier and we were talking about something and she started to explain it to me. And I was like, I'm the one who taught you that. Like, I know. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely nerve wracking when you bring your first person, because you feel the responsibility of, okay, now, you deal with all your employees, of now, you cover their insurance and, it's their livelihood. So it's a big deal, but it's a big deal for them too.
It is, and you realize that. Like I had one of my first one who's still with me today, and she was actually at a really large company, and she just wasn't happy. And so the person that she had reported to previously was somebody who had previously reported to me, and so she's like, "You need to have her because she knows she's exactly what you need right now." Because she was doing some side work for me, and I didn't even meet her for a full year, and I hired her anyway. And
Wow.
she's still with me to this day. And then a year later, I'm like, oh my God, we finally met in person after
That's
I hired
crazy.
her. Crazy. And I didn't have benefits. I had nothing. I had a paycheck and she took us up on it. But now we have 401k, we have benefits, we have,
Yeah.
all those bells and whistles and PTO and holidays and all that kind of stuff. So it's funny how you put all those things together. But I think people look at it like, oh, hiring and no problem. The problem with hiring is there's also firing. And we think we know all our people, and like we're now HR consulting firm, so we think we can hire people. What's been your biggest challenge in hiring people that really fit your culture?
I think with marketing, one of the biggest challenges is really knowing skill set. I
Mhm,
think there are a lot of people in digital marketing who can talk a good game and make it seem like they're really subject matter experts.
mhm.
But when the time comes to hit the rubber at the road, they actually can't do the job. That's the hardest part. And frankly, for me, as the person who's hiring, it's hard to decipher. So a lot of times in digital marketing, we will
Mhm.
do contract to hire to make sure that whoever we're working with can actually, make it happen before we hire them full time.
It's incredible, and it's funny when you say that way too, because I think, you put so much effort and time into people and training and everything else. It's actually a very expensive proposition. People don't realize all the extra costs that go behind the scenes
Agree.
of hiring a person, and when you're an entrepreneur, like, every dollar counts, and so it gets even harder, and so I totally get it. I totally understand, to get moving, but now you have to 10 people, so obviously you've gotten the sauce down as to what works and what doesn't work, right? At least for now.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
so. And you know what
absolutely.
else too? I think you get it gets easier as you move on, as time goes on because,
Mhm,
initially I don't think there were a ton of people who were dying to work for Elysium Marketing Group because we were so small and no one knew us. But as we're growing, it's lovely because we can tell from an internship standpoint and a job standpoint that the quality of candidates has really gone up, because they really want to come work for us now, which is
yeah.
is really nice because I think that's an important part of hiring is, you want it to work on both sides. You want it to be a good fit for the person and for the company. So it's gotten easier as we're getting bigger.
Yeah, that's good. And then when you get larger, then you're sitting in your office now. You didn't have a spot for the longest time. And I think one of the biggest things I think an entrepreneur does, automatically they want to get space. And
Mhm.
then they want to get their, paraphernalia, they want to get collateral. And you're in the marketing side of the house. What did you learn by going through all that?
Yeah, I think early on, I didn't think it was super important to have an office because, there was just me and then there was
Right.
just me and one other person. And so, um, I think I learned for me patience, which I'm not great at. It had to be the
What?
right
You're
time.
not patient?
And my daughter has taken after me, and I have to constantly be like, "Can you be patient?" Oh, I'm talking to
Future
myself.
entrepreneur, future
Yeah. Oh,
entrepreneur.
yeah, she is.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think it had to be the right time, and so it's funny though, once it was the right time, we moved to this tiny office, and we were kinda all over each other, and we had a little conference room right next to us that we would use as our office as well. Uh, and we grew out of it in less than a year. So, that's another lesson learned. And so it is nice having a place where we can all, we're in the office 4 days and we work from home on Fridays, but it's nice that everybody can brainstorm, especially for a marketing agency, because we're half a creative agency, half strategic agency. And
Yeah.
it's a nice point when the whole team can kind of talk to each other and brainstorm together in person. We get things done more efficiently.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot more of our clients being requested to go back into the office, and then we there's a really large company out in Newtown Square that just got told they're going to go back in the office 4 days a week. The people are like livid and they're already starting to give notice and all. And I'm like, well,
Wow.
I'm trying to find out like why would you do that when you're getting good benefits, you're getting all this good stuff. This is how it was before COVID. They're not saying that, not to have flexibility. They're not saying it's 5 days, they're saying it's four, but plenty of flexibility. I'm like, and you guys are so ready to jump the ship. and the grass isn't greener on the other side. And what's happening, I'm seeing a trend where I think I was doing a presentation about recruiting trends this year. And ironically enough, there was a trend about remote workforces. And right now, it's actually only 46% of companies are truly like a hybrid. Everybody else is asking people to come back into work more. And so I do think we're going more into that category because people really miss each other, and isolation is becoming a very strong wellness problem. But it is interesting. I think I applaud you for doing that and having people want to get together, because I also tell people if you come in the office, it'll probably save you at least 30 emails that day.
For sure.
And I said, and people are so burned out by emails that I just have to there's got to be an easier way, and I'm starting to use more like voice memos and all too, because just keep typing and typing and typing. I'm an accountant. I am not a writer. And so it's painful for me for sure. So you've been known as now for 9 years, about to celebrate 10, which is really, really pretty exciting, and you should be really proud of yourself. What's the biggest thing? We have entrepreneurs listening to this podcast, and a lot of the shadow hurt people are in that 100K to 400K. They might not have an employee. What's the biggest thing you could say, going back to that days, like your first 4 years, what was the biggest thing you've learned?
This is going to be really cliche, but it is so true. Surround yourself with really good people. I mean, we wouldn't be where we're at today if it wasn't for my awesome team. They really are. They're good humans. They're good at marketing. They care. And we're all I was going to say a little family, but we're not. But it is, we spend a lot of time together. And so you have to trust your people, and you have to hire good people. And that is the most important piece in all of this, for sure. At least for a marketing agency, is making sure that you have good people, subject matter experts, people who do the right thing, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. So before COVID, it was about 75% of your life is spent with the people you work with. And now it's obviously a totally different stat because of it. But I think people really are missing that, and they long for that connection with people. But people don't want to be told about, I need to come back to work. And I'm like laughing. I'm like, it's not saying that you can't leave early and things like that, but it's just the fact that camaraderie and getting more work done. So it is interesting, but I do agree with you by surrounding yourself with people. I'm a big mastermind person, EO, all that kind of stuff. And I do think you have to have people around you who challenge you, who've been there, done that, and then you learn from them as well. So have you been involved?
In addition to my team, I mean, mentors, right? Marcia, you've been a wonderful mentor to me for 9 years. I wouldn't have been able to do this without your guidance. My dad is a lawyer, but he's a really good business person. So, my mom's always super supportive. So I feel really lucky that, I was talking about my team, but you're right. There's so much more, surrounding yourself with good people in life. My husband's super supportive. That's a really big one when you have children and you're an entrepreneur. For sure.
My God, totally. You need to have that support. If you don't have that support, it's going to get really hard for you, for sure. This is so cool. Well, you know what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break here, and I got some more great questions for you coming back, but quick break to talk about our sponsors. We can't do this stuff without our sponsors out there, so thank you so much. And I am Marcia O'Connor, Shadow Her host, and we are with Elyse Lupin, and we'll be right back.
Ready to redefine your talent strategy? Let's make Redefine the word of the year for your success. Introducing RAS, Recruitment as a Service. Outsource your talent strategy with the O'Connor Group. Our four-tiered approach was crafted to align with your business, whether you're launching a startup or leading a thriving corporation. Our cost-effective solutions are designed to elevate your business and enhance your people strategy, ensuring scalability and strategic growth. Redefine your recruitment strategy with RAS.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Shadow Her Podcast. I am Marcia O'Connor, the Shadow Her host. It's actually hard to say that 5 times fast. And we are here with Elyse Lupin today, the founder of Elysium Marketing Group. And we were just talking about, the challenges of being an entrepreneur and surrounding yourself with really amazing people. She mentioned how her husband is such a huge proponent and help her go fail. And, it's talking about, just being an entrepreneur and what's it like and some of the pros and cons about being an entrepreneur. But how do you like, when do you start getting that sauce? There's a sauce basically of getting everybody together because it's your ideas, it's your thought process and where you're going. But after like a hire, you get it. But after 10 hires, how do you keep that sauce moving so everybody gets the same recipe?
Yeah, I think some of it is having really clear goals. So having everyone working towards the same goal, so both financially, growth wise, we have huge values that are up in our office. You know, they're very prominent in our office. So it's keeping everybody on the same page and making sure that everyone understands what's important to the company. Um, yeah, and then we also have every morning, we have a 9 a.m., usually in person, but sometimes Zoom call where we review every single one of our clients. And
Mhm.
so it's really important that it keeps everybody on the same page about priorities and what's going on. And even if people don't work on one particular account, they still hear what's going on. And it's really, really helpful to start the day that way because sometimes there's competing priorities. And so we can figure that out. Or sometimes someone on the team can help out someone else if they don't have as much going on that day. So I would say that's a huge part of it. And I think sometimes the team can be a little like, whoa, every morning. But yeah,
So
it's a really important. And when I'm not there for some reason, if I have a meeting or someplace I have to be, then you know, we have other team members who will run that and make sure that everybody is still meeting every morning.
about that, did someone teach you that? Did someone tell you through your travels of like, you should really do this every day with your team?
I don't know. I don't know if I think it was a combination of as we were getting bigger, we had to figure out what the priorities were and make sure, especially because before we had an office, it was keeping everybody on the same page. So
Mhm.
having those calls. But I do have a mentor who was also a client, actually, he still is. Um, and he went through traction, I think, and he
Mhm.
I think at some point I've read it as well in that book. They talk about like morning meetings or something. And so I watched him do it with his team as well. I think we were doing a version of it, but then it sort of became more officially like, okay, we're going to have the morning meeting and it's part of responsibilities and rocks, all that fun
Mhm.
stuff.
Well, yeah, you're talking about the EOS system, which is the Entrepreneur Operating System, and we've been doing that since 2016, and that's where we found our sauce. We found our sauce by every department was talking differently,
Mhm.
and I wanted everybody to talk the same language, and so that was really awesome to put that in place so that we actually have like, who are we at? What's our core values? What's our mission? Does everybody know that? Does everybody understand what we're voting for? All those different things. We talk about that at our town halls. So pretty cool stuff. Absolutely. What's next for Elysium Marketing Group? I mean, how big do you want to become?
It's a good question. So we really work in food and franchise. That's kind of our niche. And so it's exciting because as we're growing, we're getting a lot more clients across the country. And so we're going to stay on that trajectory. I was just out in Colorado meeting with a client. I'm heading to Phoenix next week. So, we've really gone from a local agency to really more of a national agency, really helping all of the different franchise brands. And, we do help with franchisors, with franchise development. We also help franchisees. So it's definitely a niche type of marketing. There's some, you need your core marketing, but there's definitely differences in the franchise world. So our team is really embracing that as well. And we're going to a lot of franchise conferences. I got my CFE, which is Certified Franchise Executive, this past year. So I see us just continuing to grow as a national franchise marketing agency.
So there's definitely some science to that. So they always say the riches are in the niches. And obviously it didn't come overnight for you to be in the franchise world. And I know that you did a lot of stuff in the restaurant world as well. And I would always say, oh, there she goes again. Here's another amazing pizza place or amazing restaurant out there. How did you get into those worlds to make it more of a niche? I agree with you, but it's not easy to do that.
No, it's not. And I was hesitant for a long time. And every book I read, every webinar I watched said you have to niche your agency. And for me, even though we did a lot of food and restaurant, I was scared, especially because we did so much of that and then COVID hit. And so it's right before COVID, we were going to niche in just food and restaurant. And that quickly, I was like, oh, I'm so glad I did it, because what kept us afloat, was a lot of the B2B work that we did until all the restaurants could come back. So, but the more franchise work I did, the more I really enjoyed it. And I saw how we were successful at it. And food and franchise, there's, I forget what percentage, I think 60% of franchises are food related. So it was an easy crossover. We were already doing some franchise work, believe it or not in food.
Right.
So for us, it was kind of like a perfect marriage of, we already know how to do food really well. We're doing franchise well, food and franchise. And I'll tell you a little secret too. I guess it's not going to be a secret anymore. But one of the reasons I like doing franchises is because there are so many different areas. So part of why I didn't want to niche is because I like the challenge of marketing in different genres. And so in franchise, yes, it's franchise, but we have franchise clients that are in the home services. We have franchise clients that are in kids. We have a lot of food ones as well, but it still allows for us to be niched, but also be able to work across lots of different industries, which I like.
That's awesome. Well, I love all that. And so that you're definitely doing it, but you have to be out there and about. It doesn't just come to you. You have to show people that you actually know what you're talking about when you start doing that. So going to these conferences is hard work. And how many you do a year to, like, I know, because entrepreneurs think they have to go to everything, and I disagree with that. So what do you think?
I'm averaging about 3 a year right now. And mainly that's because I have a 9 and a 6-year-old. And it is difficult when, I leave for a bunch of days. It messes up their routine. I know they miss me. I miss them. It makes it harder on my husband. So right now I'm going to a lot of the bigger conferences, and the one that's in Philadelphia, since I'm based out of Philadelphia. There are a couple more I do want to go to, but I know that at some point my kids aren't going to need me as much. But then I'll go to more conferences then.
Oh yeah, it's a different. It's your life trajectory of what happens next with your kids and all, and you want to be around them so much as being a mom, and then you feel like, am I be there enough? It's that mom guilt. Entrepreneur mom guilt is real, people.
Mom guilt
and
is
then
super real.
even when they go to college, you still have it, and then when they're done college, you still have it. It's just a thing about being a mom and an entrepreneur. But talk to other moms out there that go through it, because it'll really help you out a lot. But how do you take care of you? You work a lot. You go to conferences. You're a mom of 2. Phil's away right now. That's a lot on you. How do you take care of you?
So I try to play tennis at least once a week. That's really my me time. I've played tennis since I was a little girl. So when I'm out on the court, I don't have my phone, obviously, and I'm concentrating on playing. So there's no, oh man, I have to go get this for Gavin for school. Oh, I forgot, I have to sign her up for this. I got to do this for this client and that for that client. I forgot to send that email, and so it's just time for me to get out there and hit the ball. So that's definitely something I do for me. And as the kids are getting older, it is getting a little bit easier. We're trying, we'll see if it happens, but a couple of my friends and I are trying to do a spa thing. So we'll see. There's a couple of those around right now that I'm trying to. I haven't done one yet. Every year there's been a couple like, we got to do this. Yeah, we do. And then I never make it. I find time too, I really enjoy reading. And so I'll hide sometimes in my house and just like read for a little while. And people are like, where's mom? And then they find me.
Yeah. You can't hide that far, my dear.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. So what advice do you basically give an entrepreneur saying, like, they're starting off, they haven't even hired their first time person? What are those 2 bits of advice that you would say, like, just do this and this, and you're going to be okay?
Yeah. So I got 2 pieces of advice when I started, and I always think of these 2, and this is what I always share. One is, don't it. If you're going to do it, go full fledged. There's not kind of dipping your toe into it. You're either going to do it and make it happen, or you're not. But sort of half doing it never really works. So
Never.
that's definitely one. the other piece of advice that I got was before I left my job to have a couple clients. And so I was thankful and lucky, and thank you, Marcia, that, when I started Elysium, I had 2 clients already. And not everybody can do that, but if you can, it just gives you a little bit of a boost so that you are working. And when you're talking to other people about what you're doing, you have actual clients to talk about. So those are my 2 pieces of advice.
Yeah, very good pieces of advice. So you love to read. What do you love to read?
So I'm always reading business books, but I've started to also read more fiction books as well. I forgot how much I liked reading fiction books. And yeah, so I am reading now 2 at the same time. So I'm reading Referral Code is the business book that I'm reading. I'm almost finished that. It's about, referrals and how to work that angle.
Nice.
And I am reading Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is the fiction book that I'm reading. It's a New York Times bestseller that a bunch of friends suggested, and it's really good. And I
Good.
spend a lot of time wishing I could be reading it more.
It's awesome. Yeah,
On
I
the
know.
plane next week.
Time is flying by for sure. And I would say if people want to get a hold of you to talk to you about, oh my God, I have a franchise, I would love to talk to someone like you. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my email is Elyse, ELYSE, at ElysiumMG.com. So it's a little difficult. So it's Elyse, ELYSE, at Elysium, ELYSIUMMG for Marketing Group.com. They can go to my website. They can email me. We obviously have every social platform, so they can follow us and message us on any of the social platforms as well.
And I'm happy to say that Elysium was also the creators of the Shadow Her website that we have at shadowher.org. So so you definitely see some of her work and what she's done, but also her site gives a great overview of all the different things that she provides. And there is so much there. And she's actually just a great person to talk to on the reach out to. So I would definitely try to reach out to her just to have a conversation. It's amazing, Elyse, how many times I do this with always amazing people who offer their emails and their cell phones, and only 1% of people will actually ever follow up with that, which is pretty amazing to me. It's a shame. Such a great source of information out there for sure. So, well, listen, everybody out there, you keep on staying strong. We believe in you. Today's Shadow Her podcast, we had the amazing guest today of Elyse Lupin, founder of Elysium Marketing Group. I am Marcia O'Connor, the host of Shadow Her Host. I'm going to say that 10 times fast. We're so happy that you came today to share with your time and listening to us. Like us out there a little bit. And don't forget, whatever you do, believe in you because we do. All right. Take care, guys. Till next time.